I want to take a minute to clear up a few things I said in my update video. Sometimes you have to buy the thing that has the thing with some other things that let you cut the thing out of the thing so you can weld it into the other thing. Things cost money. Sometimes I've spent all my money on another thing. Things happen. Several of my household things blew up. Heat pump, AC, cable equipment, and internet connection. Some things I can fix myself, but sometimes I have to call the pros. Do you have any idea how much a CAT scan costs? So this is what I mean by things take time. I'm glad I got a chance to share with you what some of those things are. So what about the Colt that's in the way? This is what I've got to work with. This is the tunnel under the chassis that used to house the exhaust. But now I need to fit a bigger exhaust and a drive shaft through it. The old e-brake cables go through a couple of holes in front of the back seat and used to be bolted down to the floor pan above it. But these are not the same brake cables that came on this car, and they're longer. But this gap here pinches down to 5 or 6 inches, which is really tight considering what needs to go in this space. There's a seam along the bottom edge under the seat that's spot welded with filler putty and a unibody frame support above it. Another structural piece I need to watch out for is the tunnel reinforcement. I want to save as much of it as I can. Some parts of it will need to be separated from the floor pan and welded back onto new parts. There are several spot welds on the bottom edges and on the top face that need to get cut out first in order to do this neatly. It's also going to take careful cutting to prevent turning the support underneath the floor pan into Swiss cheese. I'll probably bring out this gap to about here. I'm going to leave an overlap so I have some extra material to weld to, which will get shaped to offer better floor pan reinforcement. That's not undercoating, in case you were wondering. That's what happens when you lose the rear main engine seal on a 4G15. So this is what's on top. I'm cutting that bottleneck section out. I'm going to try to use these e-brake cables if I can make them fit. I'm going to focus on that modification later though. They're going to ride underneath the tunnel when I finally do. But instead of fabricating a new tunnel and floor pan with carrier bearing mounts and a Jaffro engineered e-brake cable mount, I chose to cut the tunnel out of the frame damaged Galant and harvest all the parts I needed from a car that was already made the way I wanted the Colt to be. The planets lined up. The opportunity I was waiting for finally arrived. All that scratching of my head and ass finally paid off. Of course, the Galant VR4 has a much longer wheelbase, so all of these pieces still have to be re-engineered to fit. And I still have a tremendous amount of fabrication work to do to make this fit, but the amount of fabrication time this will save is gargantuan. Ain't that right, Caboose? No, say gargantuan.